Hey Stampers, Kim from Stamping Imperfection. Welcome to my YouTube channel and welcome to the Something Old, Something New YouTube hop where we use old things from our stash combined with some new things we just got. And every month there's a different theme. You can find the hop on the first Saturday of every month. This month's theme is gardens and bugs, so I'm excited about that one. I've pulled out a couple items that I think are perfect for fall garden stamping, and I'm excited about this. So the older stuff that I'm going to use, I have some retired natural polka dot ribbon. I love this ribbon. I think it's fantastic. And when I do fall crafts, I really like to use a twine or a jute or a burlap ribbon. I've also got some classic matte craft dots. I do love to add embellishments, and those are retired as well. And you can see I haven't used very many of those, so I decided I'm going to actually use this package up in my fall crafting. I'm using this very old punch, and you can see the shape of it. I love the shape, and I don't know what this one is called, but it's like a tab or a label or something. And then I've got some twine. This is not retired, but my stash would be, I would feel empty if I didn't have a lot of twine in it. I'm also using the butterfly from the Spotlight on Nature set here. So those are the older things that I'm using. So let me go ahead and get started here. Let's start with the embossing folder. This is a 3D embossing folder. This is called the Sunflower Embossing Folder, and I love this. There's just so many beautiful techniques you can do with embossing folders, just adding ink in different ways. And I'm going to use two techniques to add ink to my embossed images. And this is a pretty big embossing folder. So to use this one, I'm just going to grab a piece of cardstock. You put this inside. I like to line it up when I can with the line. This line helps you actually keep it straight. If it matters in your embossing folder, wouldn't matter if I didn't get this straight in my embossing folder this time, but I have been playing around with embossing different parts, so I don't necessarily use the line on this particular folder every time. Now it has to go in my embossing machine, so to run this through my embossing machine, my machine requires that I just use this platform piece. I put the embossing folder in with the paper inside it, and always put the fold of your embossing folder through the machine first, and then I have an embossing plate, and I send this through my machine. When I get it out, this is what it looks like. So the front part of the embossing folder gives you this beautiful raised design, and it is stunning with the 3D embossing folders. So this is the embossed side. The back of it is called the debossed side. The sunflowers are go in, and the background is actually higher on the back than the sunflowers are. I'm going to play with this back side, which is called the debossed side. So I'm going to play with that. I'm going to trim my paper down, which I've already done, and I'm going to make this. This is cut down to 4.5 by 4 1/4. Okay, so I do want to have the debossed side up. So I have that facing up, and I'm going to use this Blackberry Bliss ink. This is my favorite Stampin' Up! Color, and it's one of my favorite fall colors. And this is called ink swiping. And you want to do kind of a gentle hand and just pull it across the paper like that. And I always flip it over because I'm left-handed, so I like to drag it across in this direction, like this. Just like that. And I don't care that there's some dark spots and light spots. I'm good with that. I really like the way this comes out. Alright, so the next thing I want to do is I want to add some color to the leaves and to the flowers themselves. So I have this yellow. This is called Crushed Curry, and I'm using these sponge daubers. And I'm just going to ink up my sponge dauber on my ink pad here. And I'm just going to start filling in those flower petals on all of the bits here. And I love this technique, and it doesn't have to be filled in perfectly. A little white space never hurt anybody. I try to remind myself about that. Sometimes you don't always have to like color the entire thing. So let me get these colored. You can add more ink if you want them a little darker. And I'm not worrying about, I'm getting a little of the yellow on that Blackberry Bliss purple color. That is just fine. It's not going to hurt a thing. All right. I now have some pecan pie. I like this for the centers. And I'm just going to rub that on. And there's a lot of texture here, so you get some really interesting looks. And then I'm going to add it to the center of this one. Color that in a little bit. And I think that's all the centers that I have there. Then I'm going to use this Mossy Meadow green color. This is my favorite Stampin' Up! Green. So you can well imagine how much I love fall crafting. And I'm just going to color in the leaves here. Just like that. And I'm going to get all of these leaves. There, and I want to add a little bit of yellow to this petal. I think I missed that guy a little bit there. Okay, so now I pulled this out. I have some of these little tiny brushes. I like them for stenciling small little bits on stencils, but something like this works really well for like the leafy bits here. If you have trouble getting your ink where you want it to go, maybe you have something like that in your stash instead of the sponge daubers. Alright, so that's my colored piece. Isn't that pretty? Love it. Let's take a piece of white cardstock, and this is cut at 4 1/4 by 11. It's got a little bit of ink on it. I'm not going to worry about that because the piece that I just created will cover that up, and this is a perfect way to use it. So I'm going to score this at 5 1/2, and then I'm going to score it at, oops, I want to score it on this side because I want to cover this ink. Then I'm going to score it at 4 1/2. So I've scored it twice at 5 1/2 and 4 1/2. I'm going to go ahead and fold each of these, give them a good crease with my bone folder. This one I want to go this way. I feel like I'm getting ink everywhere. That's okay. I have an ink eraser that will work fine to take that off before I send this out to anyone. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and put this down with some liquid glue. And you can see I embossed on the, or I ink swiped on the embossed side, and you can see the difference between the coverage that covers the flowers, not the background so much. Whereas when you do it on the debossed side, it covered that background nicely. And it's just such a quick way to add color, the ink swiping, to your project. I'm going to actually turn this way, like this. And you want to make sure you get plenty of glue on all of the edges there. Now another spot I want to add some glue is right here. And use whatever, if you don't like using glue, liquid glue, don't use liquid glue. Use whatever your favorite glue is. We all have our favorite adhesives. It's a very personal thing. And I've got a piece of cardstock. This is from the Country Woods Designer Series paper that Stampin' Up! Has. And this is actually the second year they've carried this paper. I love this package of paper. Absolutely gorgeous. I'm just going to put this down here. So essentially I've covered the whole front of the card. So if you have a piece of white cardstock with an ink smudge, this is what you need to do with it. All right, I'm going to use some of this ribbon now. All right, I'm going to use this ribbon and I'm just going to tie it in a knot, mostly because I find this to be a little stiff and hard to tie in a bow, so I just do knots with it. For my sentiment, I went ahead and cut a piece of basic beige cardstock, and I used that punch that I had, that old punch that I have. It's a perfect way to use your old punches. And now I'm going to go ahead and grab the Grateful for You stamp set. I always find that fall gives me a good opportunity to let my friends know how grateful I am to have them in my life. So I'm using Early Espresso ink, which is a nice dark brown ink. It's one of my favorites for fall sentiment stamping. I'm just going to stamp that sentiment on there. And I've got one of these little foam blenders that I have already got some of that Early Espresso ink on. And I'm just going to go around the edge of this just so it pops off. That background now is pretty busy, so I do want this to pop off. So this will be one way I can draw attention to it. I'm also going to draw attention to it by adding a couple of dimensionals. Just like this. And I'm going to grab my glue dots. I want 2 glue dots. And I'm going to add a little bit of white twine behind them. So I'm using the glue dot to kind of create some loops that will stick out underneath there. And I usually go around a couple of times and try to vary the size of the loops a little bit. And there we go. I'm going to use that second glue dot I have here to stick on top of that so it all sticks together really well. I don't know why I keep putting these scissors away. And then I'm going to add this to my card, and I think I want to put my sentiment over here, so I will plunk this down here. So I've got my twine, my white twine. I thought the white popped nicely off the back of there. Then to finish this off, I'm using my Take a Pick tool and these matte dots. These are the classic matte dots. And I'm going to use just a couple of those around my sentiment to draw some nice little attention to the area, just like that. And that is going to complete that card. So let me show you another one that I made earlier. I made one of these sideways. These are the Matchbox. Oops, I forgot to stamp inside. These are the matchbook fold cards. And here's one that I made. Instead of using that Blackberry Bliss, I used Cajun Craze. And Cajun Craze is kind of an orangey red color. It's really pretty in the fall. And I actually put this one onto a Mossy Meadow card base. And I used the same Grateful for You, but I used a circle punch that time. And the same ribbon and embellishments and everything. So I do want to add a bug to this, but I thought I would add the bug to the inside of my card. So I'm just going to add a little butterfly here, down there like that. And it's such a pretty little detail to add to your card. Just like that. I would love it if you give this video a thumbs up, and if you're not subscribed to my channel, make sure you subscribe and click the bell to get notifications every time I upload a new video. Make sure you check that playlist below. There's a link to the playlist for all the videos for YouTube card making YouTubers who are participating in today's hop. And there's another link for card making YouTubers who would like to participate in the next hop. So check that out. I hope you have a wonderful day, friends.